Om Saraswati Namaha. Namaste. And this evening we're going to begin our discussion of Ramakrishna, the nectar of eternal bliss. This is a translation and a series of satsangs that Sri Ma and I have performed all around the country, in fact all around the world, between 1998 and 2001, and we recorded it again in 2005, and now we made a book out of it. So it's just very similar to the Kashyap Sutras book. It's a book of satsangs. But so there's so many things going on. And let's begin with Sri Ma singing a song about Ramakrishna.
Oh, yeah? Do you say English first or I will sing Bengali?
I just said, let's begin with Sri Ma singing a song about Sri Ramakrishna.
Dekhe ja tora, ore nagarvasi. Dekhe ja tora, ore nagarvasi. Thakur kalpotoru rupe, naraye theasi. Thakur kalpotoru rupe, naraye theasi. Dekhe ja tora, ore nagarvasi. Jar jayachi moner shah, bol na giye ঠাকুরের কাছে আজ। Jar jayachi moner shah, bol na giye ঠাকুরের কাছে আজ। ঠাকুর কল্পতরু রূপে দাঁড়িয়েছে আসি। দেখে যা তোরা, ওরে নগরবাসী। দেখে যা তোরা, ওরে নগরবাসী।
Hey, all citizens of the city, come and see, Ramakrishna has taken the form of the tree which grants the fruit of all desire. Come quickly and see, he is standing there giving blessings. Whatever desire you have in your mind, come quickly and tell Ramakrishna. Ramakrishna stands in the form of the wish-fulfilling tree. Come quickly and see. The impact of the life of Sri Ramakrishna on spiritual evolution is still being felt around the world 120 years after his death. Even today, in this modern age, people who never knew him, never understood his language or his culture, find inspiration from his example of dedication and comfort in his philosophy of universality. He demonstrated the meaning of devotion and achieved the epitome of its success to such an extent that it could be defined only by one word. In the Bengali language, it was termed vyakulata, sincerity, deep, sincere longing, so intense that one can think of nothing else. The majesty of his thoughts can be summarized in a few short statements. There is one God of us all, who is called by many names in many languages. As many as there are individuals, so many are the ways of worshiping the one God. The point of religious experience is not to engage in intellectual debate, but to become submerged in the ecstasy of divine love through devotion to our path. Immediately see the relevance of studying the life of such a great man. At such a time when we face the circumstances as we human beings do today, these simple propositions hold out perhaps the only promise of peace for a world beset with conflict. Ramakrishna, who had practiced the basic tenets of the world's great religions and personally verified the truth of each of them, that he could reach the same intensity of vyakulata through the practice of each, stands today as a unifying example of mutual respect and reciprocal admiration, while many others of humanity are actually fighting over what to call divinity in a variety of languages. He used to tell the story of the different stairs to the pond in his village, where the Hindus drew water and called it jal. The Muslims drew the same water and called it pani, and the Christians drew the same water and called it water. And yet it was the same to all of them. He said that every action performed with respect and attentiveness was a form of worship, so that every individual has his or her own way of honoring God. And religious experience is not born of the mind. It occurs when we go beyond the mind, beyond all thought. Religious experience occurs when we become consumed by the ecstasy of intuitive cognition, when we fall in love to such an extent that we forget ourselves. And that is why Ramakrishna is called the wish-fulfilling tree. The form of the tree which grants the fruit of all desire. When we see him and listen to his words, feel his ecstasy and practice his instructions, we go beyond the selfishness of the mind and become enthralled with this dance of this lover of life, the lover of God. Both Sri Ma and I have derived significant inspiration from Ramakrishna. And for at least the past 25 years, we have been translating his stories and songs in satsangs around the world. Over the last few years, we have been recording and transcribing these translations, and it is our joy to share with you our understanding of the book authored by Mahendranath Gupta called Kathamritan in the original Bengali. The book, first published in Bengali in 1887, is presented as a diary of Mr. Gupta's recordings of conversations and experiences in association with Sri Ramakrishna between March 1882 and April 1886, a few months before Ramakrishna's demise. In the text, Mahendranath Gupta referred to himself as M, with all the humility of a true devotee who wanted to remain nameless while sharing the wisdom of his guru. In 1942, Swami Nikhilananda presented his translation entitled The Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. This book has served as a tremendous inspiration to acquaint devotees in the English-speaking world with the life and thoughts of Sri Ramakrishna. It is our desire to update the language of this tradition and to reaffirm its relevancy for our times. Also, we wish to convey even more of the inspiration of Ramakrishna and maybe present him as less of an intellectual and more of an ecstatic mystic that he was. With the music of Sri Ma's singing and the joy of our interaction in satsang, we hope to share the wonderful bhava of Sri Ramakrishna has come to represent. In Bengali, kotha means story, words or a story. Amrita translates as nectar, and moreover, immortal nectar, the nectar of immortal or eternal bliss. It is our desire to share this story about nectar We want to try to communicate the eternal bliss in a way that inspires devotees to go beyond the intellectual meanings of the words into the vyakulata, into the love which takes us beyond the selfishness of the mind, into the ecstasy of pure devotion. Ramakrishna once said to Mahendranath Gupta, "A yogi is always looking towards God. His vision is always fixed on God. A yogi maintains inner silence and always looks towards God. If you see into a yogi's eyes, you will be able to understand this. Just as a bird sits on its eggs in the nest, the bird's mind is completely submerged in thoughts of the eggs, even while its eyes are staring towards the heavens above." We wish to become these yogis. Ramakrishna wants us to become so. Sri Ma encourages us with her blessings, and with this understanding, we share the nectar of eternal bliss. And that was Sri Ma and Swami Satyananda at the Devi Mandir 2005. And let's begin with the introduction on page 7. We see here a picture of Ramakrishna Thakur. He's often called Thakur, just a master, the supreme master. So throughout the book, we have comments by Swami, which are aside, and songs by Sri Ma, which are not part of the text, and then we have a translation of the text, and we've offset each of them in different fonts and styles so that everybody can know when it's the book speaking, or it's the sadhu speaking, or it's the mother singing, or it's poetry that comes out of the book. Ramakrishna was born in the village of Kamarpukur in Hooghly district in the month of Falgun in the bright fortnight of February 22nd, 1836, in the home of a Brahmin priest. There are many opinions about the birth of Ramakrishna, which vary from historical to mythic. He lived in a human body for 52 years. His father's name was Khudiram Chattopadhyay, who was an extremely disciplined and great devotee. His mother was Chandra Devi, who was a simple lady filled with compassion, and the family lived 3 miles away from the village of Kamarpukur. Khudiram's landlord was the richest man in the area, and he was contesting a case in the local court. He asked Khudiram to tell a lie to support his case, and Khudiram refused to lie to the judge and instead told the truth. The landlord lost the case and was very angry, so he took away Khudiram's property. Khudiram then moved his family to Kamarpukur. Oh, get out. Eviction. As a child, Ramakrishna's name was nicknamed Gadadhar, who wields the club. Gadadhar was sent to the local village school to learn how to read and write. His father became the pujari of a temple of a form of Ram called Raghubir, the hero of the Raghus. That's the name of Ram. And there's a little Raghubir temple just near to where Ramakrishna's house is today. Gadadhar didn't like learning in the village school, and after a very elementary education consisting of reading and writing, Gadadhar became the pujari of the Raghubir temple. He used to sing his own songs and had a beautiful voice, and Gadadhar would see a drama one time and learn every song in the play. And it took once. Had a captive mind, a very, very efficient learner. His childhood was spent in complete bliss, and everyone in the village loved him. Near the family house was the home of the Laha family, beside which was a guest house in which visiting sadhus would reside. Actually, it's a natshala. It has no walls. It just has columns around the perimeter and a roof. We stayed there for some time ourselves. When the sadhus used to stay there, Gadadhar would go to perform some small errands for them. When any of the sadhus would recite the scriptures, he would listen with great intent. In this way, he memorized many passages from the scriptures, from Ramayana, the Mahabharata, from the Bhagavad, and he knew all the stories by heart. One day when he was 11 years old, he was walking across the fields to a nearby village called Onugram, and Ramakrishna later described the scene personally. Ramakrishna, suddenly I saw a great aura of light and I became unconscious. People said that I had moved into Bhav Samadhi, the attitude of perfect communion. After the death of his father Kuthiram, Ramakrishna went to live in Calcutta with his older brother Ram Kumar. His age then was about 17 or 18. In Kolkata, as it's now called, Ramakrishna became the assistant to his older brother, who was the priest in the house of Govinda Chatterjee. The two brothers traveled throughout the neighborhood from house to house performing family pujas. Rani Rasmani bought land in Gokineshwar, about 5 miles from Kolkata, and in order to establish a Kali temple. She employed Ram Kumar as the chief priest of the temple. From time to time, Ramakrishna went to visit the temple and he began to officiate at the worship ceremonies. His age was about 21 or 22. By then, Ramakrishna's middle brother Rameshwar also became a priest at the Kali temple, and Rameshwar had 2 sons named Ramlal and Shivaram, and a daughter named Lakshmi Devi. After several days of performing worship in the Kali temple, Ramakrishna became filled with divine love. He began to spend the entire day sitting in front of the image in the temple. Bhavatarini is her name. She who takes us across the ocean of worldliness. Day after day he would spend sitting in the temple with the deity. Seeing this condition, his relatives decided to try to make him more worldly. Like many sadhus I know. They thought that there was nothing that would change a man quicker than marriage, and this is what they proposed. About 4.5 miles from Kamarpukur was the village of Joyrambati. Ramchandra Mukherjee lived there, and he had a daughter named Saradamoni. In 1859, she was married to Ramakrishna. At that time, Ramakrishna was 30 years old and Saradamoni was 6. And there's a footnote there, and we'll get to the footnotes later. After the marriage, Ramakrishna went back to the Kali temple in Dakshineshwar. He began to worship Kali with even greater fervor, and some days later, he had her darshan in many forms. He would perform arati to the deity, just as we just saw Sri Ma performing, and the arati had no end. I remember sometimes when we were living in Kolkata, we would start arati at 6 or 7 in the evening. We would end it at 5 in the morning the next day. The arati just had no end. He would sit for puja, and the puja would go on and on. He would put a flower on his own head and sit there for hours completely still. Ultimately, he couldn't perform the worship at all, and people thought that he had become like a crazy man. The son-in-law of Rani Rasmani, Mathur Babu, thought of Sri Ramakrishna as a great soul, and he began to serve him and fulfill his needs. Mathur put another Brahmin in charge of the pujas at the Kali temple, Hriday Mukherjee, who was a cousin of Ramakrishna, gave him the responsibility of caring for Ramakrishna. So he said, Hriday, you help with the pujas and you help Ramakrishna. And now, Ramakrishna neither performed the pujas nor did he enter into a worldly relationship with his wife. Day and night he would just call Mother, Mother. He sometimes sat like a stone or a doll. Other times he was like a madman or a little child. He never cared for money. Taka mati mati taka. He saw people who were beset with many thoughts and many cares, and he would run away from them immediately. He would only talk about God. He didn't like to talk about anything else. And all the time he would say, Mother, Mother, Mother. Sadhus, saints, and sannyasis all came to the Kali temple. One such sadhu was named Totapuri. Totapuri stayed in Dakshineshwar for 11 months and taught Advaita, non-dualistic Vedanta. One day he was describing many points about Vedanta when Ramakrishna went into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And remember, we understand Nirvikalpa Samadhi is perfection of union without any other duality, without any thought. One woman sadhu named Brahmani Bhairavi came to the Kali temple. She had performed many types of tantric sadhanas. Other sadhus came to teach Ramakrishna about the Quran, the Gaudiya Math Sampradaya, and Sri Chaitanya. When the Brahmani saw that Ramakrishna was learning non-dualism from Totapuri, she warned him to be careful of Vedanta. She said to him, don't listen to Advaita Vedanta. If you study Vedanta, your bhav and devotion will become dissipated. Because in Vedanta they try to teach a form of vairagya, which they call dispassion, free from passion. And in Tantra they try to teach a form of passion which is directed to the love affair with the Divine Mother. There was a pundit named Vaishnavacharan who was a teacher of Vaishnava philosophy. He used to come every day to the Kali temple and often took Ramakrishna to the Vaishnava society where he would sing the songs of Lord Chaitanya. Remember Chaitanya Gauranga Prabhu? He awakened all of Bengal to the love of God through song. Ramakrishna became submerged into the bhava of Chaitanya. Vaishnavacharan was the main teacher of that congregation. He said to Mathur Babu, this crazy man isn't ordinary at all. He's mad with love. He's crazy for God. The Brahmani and Vaishnavacharan said that Ramakrishna was filled with Mahabhav. Sometimes Ramakrishna remained completely oblivious to the entire external world and he was submerged in samadhi. At other times he was so totally unaware of what was happening outside that he would remain crying, Mother, Mother. He talked only about God. He took orders only from the Divine Mother. He used to say to her, Mother, I'm only going to listen to you. I don't know anything about scriptures or teachers of scriptures. If you instruct me, I'll have faith in what you say. Ramakrishna felt this completely and he used to act in this way. Ramakrishna, and these are his own words when it says Ramakrishna. She is the Supreme Divinity, the unlimited, unqualified Sat Chit Ananda. She is the Mother of the Universe. Ramakrishna to the Mother of the Universe. You and I are one. Your will is manifest everywhere and is only for the good of all embodied beings. All the devotees will come to you. You don't have to call them. Even the most pure devotees with the purest desires are going to come. They're all going to come. See? And they came. They gathered all around the world. And they came. One one day at the time of Arati, Ramakrishna began to cry with a loud voice, "Hey devotees, where are you? And come quickly." He didn't have a webcam then. He always saw his mother, Chandramuni, as a form of the Divine Mother. He used to worship her in that way. When his older brother, Ramkumar, left his body, Chandramuni became ill. Ramakrishna brought her to the Kali temple at Dakshineshwar. Ramakrishna visited his mother daily and bowed down to her feet. Ramakrishna went on pilgrimage to various sites of India 2 times. The first time he took a train to Benares along with his mother, Ram Chatterjee, and Mathur Babu. During this journey, Ramakrishna went in and out of Samadhi frequently. They visited Vaidhanath, Kashi, and Allahabad. Vaidhanath is Deogar. It's in Bihar. It's also one of the Pithas of Shiva. It's a Jyotirlinga. Kashi is the name of Benares, and Allahabad is the name of Prayag, where the 3 rivers join. During his second pilgrimage in 1868, he traveled with Mathur Babu and his wife Jagadambe and Hridai. And they went to Benares, Prayag, and Vrindavan. And Swami said, Mahendranath is explaining the different saints of this era whom Ramakrishna met. In Benares, Ramakrishna went into Samadhi at Manikarnika Ghat, the famous cremation grounds of the city. We performed a yajna there the last time we were in Benares. After having a very intense darshan of Vishwanath, the principal deity of Benares, Vishwanath gave Ramakrishna the name Tarak Brahman. At that time, he was introduced to Troilinga Swami. In Vrindavan, Ramakrishna fell in love with Radha. Also, he would talk to the river Ganga like she was an embodied being. The respected Keshav Singh, along with many devotees, meditated in the garden of Belgaria. Ramakrishna, along with Hridai, went to see Keshav Singh in Belgaria in the year 1875. There was a captain in the Nepalese army whose name was Vishwanath Upadhyay. He used to come often to see Keshav Singh. When Ramakrishna went to see Keshav Singh, many devotees came to see him. Between 1879 and 1880, the inner circle of Ramakrishna's devotees started to congregate. When they came to see Ramakrishna, he used to become crazy with devotion. Ramakrishna remained like a child, and he would often become silent. Often he remained completely submerged in samadhi, and at other times in bhav samadhi. And after he came out of samadhi, he would be in a state of intoxication. At other times, he acted just like a 5-year-old child. He would just say, "Mother, mother, mother," time and again. Sri Ma related this story about Ramakrishna. When Thakur was 5 or 6 years old, he loved to stay with women like his auntie. He easily made friends with all women, and he loved to listen to the women gossiping. In olden times, the women covered their heads, and they never showed their faces. And the village women go to the pond to get water throughout the day, and there was a group of women sitting together near the pond gossiping. One day, when he was 15 or 16 years old, he wore a sari and he covered his face so that no one could tell that he was not female. He went to the pond and sat down with the women and was listening to their gossip. That gossiping, you know, is women's nature. Sorry to say that this is women's nature, but they talk about everything. How much they have, what their husband told them, what their mother-in-law said, blah, blah, blah. Then Thakur opened his cover and said, "Now I'm going to tell everybody everything." Constantly, he used to tease the women and teach the women to be real mothers. Thakur's village had a theater. One time when he was 6 years old, somebody was scheduled to perform the role of Shiva in a play at the theater. That person became ill. The people thought that the play could not be performed because there was no one to play the role of Shiva. Everyone started talking. Gadadhar will do it. Gadadhar will do it. Thakur was very happy to play Shiva in the drama. They made him up into a beautiful Shiva with a trishul, and they took him onto the stage. The drummer began to play, and Ramakrishna went completely into samadhi. Everybody began to question, what's going on? He became Shiva. Where is his play? Thakur became a stone, and nobody could do anything. Another day during his youth, he was walking and a thunderstorm came. At that time, he saw a big light, and he fainted. He was always divine. Everywhere he looked, he saw God. From his childhood, he always showed respect to the whole of creation. Thakur told me to respect your actions all the time, and you'll get me. It is true. If we respect our actions, we'll know who we are. One day, Thakur went to someone's kitchen room in the village and saw that rice was boiling in a pot on the stove. It was making bubbles and a gurgling sound. He told the housewife, "Look, the rice is boiling." That is like your ego. Boiling, bubbling, and gurgling. Afterwards, when the dish will be cooked, it will be calm and quiet. That means your ego is gone. In a patient way, he taught the village people, you can watch boiling rice yourself. When it is done, it is calm and quiet. Completely silent. He explained relationships in a simple way, but with a big meaning. And that's the introduction. I want to describe some of the footnotes. I remember Ramakrishna was married to Sarada Muni, and such marriages are really betrothals, and they're consummated at a later time. So the bride, even at 6, she stays at her home, and then when she grows up, then she goes to the husband's home. In Ramakrishna's case, the marriage was never consummated. Arti, of course, is the evening worship, the ringing of bells and the sharing of lights. It's a dance, a celebration of our love for God. The Nirvikalpa Samadhi is the state of consciousness beyond all relativity, where even divine forms are left behind. And when he goes into Bhav Samadhi, it's the highest degree or the culmination of devotional practice. He becomes absorbed in the attitude of unity. Sat Chitananda means pure existence, consciousness, pure love. Let's see if there are any questions so far. Yes, please.
Swamiji, you mentioned that there was not a physical consummation, but serving each other and loving each other and taking care of each other for so many years, I mean, that's the highest form of a consummation.
Of a spiritual consummation. Right. And that is the spiritual union. They never found necessity to have a physical union. They had a spiritual union. They gave birth to spiritual children. And we are the descendants of those spiritual children. So the marriage was certainly consummated on the subtle plane, but not on the gross plane.
And that's the most powerful of all.
Absolutely.
So the question from Kumari from Valley Hope.
Namaste, Kumari Ma.
Pranam Ma and Swamiji, can you please
comment on the meaning of Tarak Brahman, the name Vishwanath Shiva at Banaras gave to Sri Ramakrishna?
Tarak means the illuminator and Brahma means the supreme divinity. So here we have the illuminator of the supreme divinity, is Tarak Brahma.
Question from Nanda from San Jose.
Namaste, Nandama.
Pranam Ma and Swamiji, thank you for this class. In several of the biographies of saints like Sri Ramakrishna and Sri Ma, they knew their divinity at an early age, and yet they did such great tapasya. Why did they need to perform such tapasya when they already knew their divinity? Please help me understand. Thank you.
Tapasya only appears to be tapasya from the outside. From the inside, it's the most natural way of life that one could live. So after we only perform tapasya ourselves, or it's tapasya to us, when we are looking to do some action to provide some effect. We're looking for the fruits of our actions. When we're no longer looking for the fruits of our actions, then it's no longer tapasya. When Mother comes to us in the 13th chapter and she says, what do you want? If we've got something we desire, then it's tapasya. We're doing an action to purify ourselves in order to achieve a greater goal in the future. But if we have no desire and we just want what we got, I just want more devotion and more love, I want to love you stronger, with greater intensity, it's no longer in tapasya. It's just what we do. It's the way we live our lives.
Kumari is asking, Shrima says about Sri Ramakrishna, everywhere he looked, he saw God, he showed respect for whole creation. Is this the meaning of sadhana of respect? That is the acknowledgement of the divine at that place or in that situation?
That is a meaning of that respect, but that respect goes farther and farther and farther until we're respecting every atom at the same time. It's all one. And when we achieve that nirvikalpa samadhi, then there's a unity there. There is no more duality. So then the respect is just the natural phenomena of our lives.
Question from Nanda. Pranam and Swamiji. Sri Ramakrishna looked at his mother Chandramuni as a form of divine mother. Did this happen because of the exalted state that he was in, or was it a conscious decision?
Well, he was in an exalted state and he made a conscious decision. I get the privilege of living with the Divine Mother. She gave me birth. She must be divine because I'm divine. How can an ordinary mother give birth to a divine me? She must be divine because I feel that I'm divine. She must be divine as well.
Swamiji, as a follow-up, how can I, a normal person, look at everyone as manifestations of divinity? Is this a conscious decision?
It's not normal. So therefore, you're not a normal person. So get that thinking out of your mind right now. What it is abnormal. And you will be reproached for your abnormal behavior. But yes, it's a conscious decision that you make. That I'm going to look for the divinity in every circumstance, in every relationship. I'm going to look for the lesson for me.
Swamiji, question from Wendy from New Jersey.
Namaste, Wendy Ma.
Namaste, Ma and Swamiji. In Jewish religion, there's something called Lashon Hara, or evil tongue, which refers to gossip, and Jewish people pray 3 times to remind themselves not to gossip. Can you please explain to me about how to act around people gossiping? Should we stay away, even though Ramakrishna loved to listen to it? Thank you.
Well, when you have the discrimination that Ramakrishna had, you'll be able to filter what gossip should enter which part of your anatomy and how long it should stay there. So absolutely, Wendy, you don't want to subject yourself to gossip when it's not necessary. I used to see my guru would sit by and listen to people's gossip for many hours of the day. And I said, Guruji, how can you listen to all that stuff? He said, what stuff? I didn't hear anything. I was listening to the mantra going on. These people were just so happy to have an ear to talk to.
That's true. Question from Usha from Canada.
Namaste, Ushama.
Swamiji, is it possible that Thakur and great saints would perform tapasya for humanity?
Absolutely. Not only possible, it is probable. Once we realize that myself is one with the soul of all of creation, then I'm not separate from creation. I want to perform tapasya not for me, but for me. For all of me. The greater me. The me that exists in every atom of creation, Usha, and that's why you're performing the tapasya that you do.
Swamiji, there's the analogy to the boiling rice.
Yes?
How do we move from the boiling state to the calm state?
Do you know the rice becomes purified and cooked of its own accord? It just takes a little time and a little patience. Just stand there and watch the pot. How long will the rice boil? Until it's cooked.
Swamiji, here are some questions about that Sri Gupta asked Sri Ramakrishna.
Yes.
Can you please explain to us answers that may be relevant for our times?
I'll try.
How may we fix our minds on God?
We talked about that in the 9 steps of devotion when Shabari asked Sri Ram, how do I become devoted to God? And Ram gave the answer, the first step is satsang. And then listen to your guru. And then respect your guru. And learn the mantras. And live with God. And little by little, step by step, there's a change that happens within us.
How ought we to live in the world?
As little as possible. As little as possible. Just do what is necessary and come back to your own world. Why live in other people's worlds? Make your own and make it beautiful. Make it filled with the inspiration that you're looking for. And then spend as much time as you possibly can there, even while fulfilling all your other duties and obligations.
Is it possible to see God?
Absolutely. I'm looking at her. Here's looking at you.
Under what conditions does one see God?
Under every condition. Every condition. You can see God at any time. There's no specific circumstance. It comes in a moment. But the more we prepare for God to come, the greater is the possibility that she will actually come. And that's why we perform puja. What would you do if God was coming to your house? What would you do? You'd clean, you'd prepare, you'd purify, you'd invite her in, you would unite with her, and then you'd sit her down and offer her your best. And those are the steps of the puja. That's why we perform the puja. So that we're ready. We know what to do when she comes. It's not, what if she came? It is, she will come. It's her promise. Now, am I ready for her? I don't want her to come and say, Mom, I'm so glad you came. Would you please clean up my room? I want to say, Mom, I knew you would come, and therefore I cleaned it up before you came. So now you have a nice place to sit and a nice place to be, and I prepared all kinds of things to demonstrate the vyakulata, the sincerity of my respect for you, my appreciation to you for your presence in my life.
Why should one call the world Maya?
Why should one call the word Maya?
Called the world Maya.
The world Maya. Because Maya has three meanings. One meaning is it's illusion, and if I'm forgetting about God and just acting and interacting with the world, then it's the Maya of illusion. The other meaning is it's all mother. It's the Maya of Tantra, and everywhere I look is an opportunity for me to see another form of mother, another form of divinity. And the third reason is because Maya means the one in harmony with her own self, and every atom of the creation is in harmony with God. And that's why we should call the world Maya.
Swamiji, question from Nanda. Are the notions of Kamini and Kanchan relevant in this day and time?
Absolutely. Everything we do is for Kamini and Kanchan. Now, Swami Nikhilananda called Kamini women and Kanchan gold. And we understand Kamini as come. Any desire is Kam, and any little desire is Kamini. And she takes a female form. And Kanchana is any resource which is necessary to fulfill that desire. So if I desire one thing, I need some resources in order to acquire it. And Kamini and Kanchana are dictating our behavior so long as we're bound to the illusory world of I and mine that I wish to possess and hold on to these desires. They are still relevant.
Swamiji, can you please share with us how Sri Ramakrishna inspired you? Thank you so much.
Very much. He inspired me with his understanding of universality. His definition of, I happen to, well, at one time I spoke many languages, and now I stay mostly in one place and speak only a few languages. But at one time I spoke many languages, and I could understand immediately when he said that God was Allah, God was Shiva, God was Adonai. And I looked at the term Agni, and I saw Agni from India went to became Agoni in Chandavesta in Persia, and he became Adoni in Greek, and Adonis in Latin, and Adonai in Hebrew. And I saw him walking across the earth. That how many terms that just migrated. And I saw Ramakrishna saying, hey, it's all saying and referring to the same things. There's Jal, and there's Pani, and there's water, and there's Agua, and there's Lu, and there's So, and there's Up, and it's all the same stuff. So when I went around the world and viewed many cultures and viewed many religions and even started learning and cultivating those religious practices, I could see that Vyakulata, that sincerity was the key ingredient in every one of them. That was the common thing. The rest was all nomenclature. You had to learn a new vocabulary for the similar experiences. And every one of them said, clasp your hands and bow and humble yourself before the Lord. And through that humility you'll be raised. Every one of them said. So when I saw Ramakrishna teaching me the same things, I had a precedent. I had somebody there who could show me that, wow, if you speak many languages, you know that there are many ways of describing the same phenomenon. And there are many ways of practicing the same love for God. So, and that was some of the ways that Ramakrishna inspired me. Also, he practiced everything. And he loved everybody. And he went with everybody. And I tried to do something similar. There were many ways that Ramakrishna came into my life. I stayed in Dakshineshwar. I stayed on the veranda outside his room for 3 months. Just sleeping on the porch. I really liked him. We got along well. I used to meditate in his room before they put the barrier there in front of his bed. And you could sit at the foot of his bed, and it was just like he was there. He was so present. So I got along famously with Ramakrishna. There were other ways that I lived in the Ramakrishna Topomot for many years. Well, a few years anyway, at least 3 or 4. It was a little ashram complex outside Bhukreshwar. And there was a Swami Virananda Puri. Virananda Puri was the mohant of that ashram. He was a dear friend, and we performed tapasya together. Many times, many forms of sadhana, especially doing the cosmic puja and the Chandi Samputs all day long. Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste.